So my name's Siobhan Atchison, I'm one of the resource officers, and I'm here to chat to you about the defibs that we now have within the Belfast Trust. We're standardising to two types, an OR Series Plus, which is this machine, which I'm going to take a bit of time to go through, and at the end of the session I'll cover the AED3 as well. Okay, so I want to start off with this machine first. Okay, I'm going to give you a quick overview of the machine, all its attachments, and I want to talk to you about how we check this on a daily basis and what needs to be involved with that. Then we'll talk about the pads and how we apply them and pop them onto the patient's chest. So this is the OR Series Plus. If we start with the back of the machine first. So it is mains charged, black cable, should be plugged in and turned on, okay, and that should be attached at all times, bar whenever you have to take it to the patient's bedside. It has a black quick release cable, so if you pull that apart, okay, it comes apart quite easily, okay, and then just make sure when you're reattaching, folks, that that goes back in quite nice and snug. A couple of other cables just to show you at the back of the machine as well. All defibs have the option of using 3-lead monitoring. This machine is no different. Okay, our 3-lead cable is here at the back, and that's just kept in this pouch at the back. We also have an additional cable which is new to us compared to the old machine we used to have on the Royal site, and we have now the ability to monitor end-tidal CO2, and it's via this. This cable is not disposable, it is £2,000 alone, okay, so it needs to stay on. What is disposable is that adapter, okay, that comes out, and that sits in between the ET tube and the bag valve mask. It clicks in, so that's changed per patient if used. So just make sure that that is always there when you do your daily checks. Third cable at the back, and it's coiled up, you can see it coiled in there. So if we pull that out, and attached at the very end is a set of defib pads. Okay, now these are a set of adult pads that are attached. So there should be one set of pads attached to this machine at all times. There will be a second spare set on your emergency trolley, usually in your bottom drawer, but always make sure that this is attached. It should not be open, it should not be ready to go, it should be sealed. Okay, and that's it. And I'll talk about the pads further in a wee second. Just at the back of the machine, guys, so we have a battery. Okay, so when we're off mains power, we run on battery. To check your battery life, there's a little picture of a finger. If you press on that circle, these lights come up. Okay, so if we're down to one green light, then you've about under 30 minutes left. And then paper then is usually stored here at the top. There's a circle. If I press that up, and you can see that window popping up, and your paper is encased here. It comes in a block. Okay, it's an accordion-like. And when we run low, there's a picture at the bottom of that telling you what way to actually put your paper in to make sure it's ready to go. Okay. So, front of the machine then. Front of the machine, okay, we have our screen, that's where our information is going to be. I have a couple of lights here. Okay, my first one is my battery, and that is my mains power. So if my mains power is not attached, no lights will come on. Okay, mains power attached, that will be green. This one here, orange, tells me that my battery is charging. This battery is fully charged, so by the end of the session you'll probably see that this will turn green. Okay, so we need to make sure, there we go, that's just turned green there for us. So 2 green lights saying that we're good to go. There's a window here, so you'll only see 2 things. You'll either see a nice green tick, which we should have this morning, okay, or a lovely red X. Okay, so if there is a red X, that means this machine is not fit to use until we find out exactly what's going on. And again, I'll come back and chat to that a little bit more in depth in a wee second. This button here is my shock button, should I need to use it. And this is how I turn the device on. Okay, so there's only one way to turn the device on. Okay, so you cannot go wrong. So that's the way we action it and turn it on. So, in terms of daily checks, okay, we ask staff to check their defib at the start of every shift, okay, where they attach a test block and they go through a series of manual checks. This machine is quite intuitive, and it will actually perform daily self-checks itself. So every morning at 8 o'clock, okay, it will power itself on, it'll run its self-test, okay, and it will not print out to say that test has been completed. Okay, so if there is a problem, you will see 3 things. You'll see a red X, okay, in that window. The machine powers itself on, and it will tell you on screen what the problem is, and then that is repeated on your printout. So the only time you get a printout now is if there's an error. Now 90 to 95% of the time, okay, that error is usually down to a problem with the defib pads. Okay, so either somebody has opened the pads, or if the pads have expired, the machine will also detect that as well. So if that is the issue, okay, then we would ask you then to change that and rectify it, okay, and then run through a manual check. So if there's a red X on screen, okay, it will simulate and tell you what it is, and it will print it out. So they're telling me here that my pads have expired. Okay, so if that's the case, that's something I can rectify very, very easily at ward level. So you're going to get your new, take your pads, okay, they come and they connect here. So it's just a matter of pulling that apart, okay. You're going to get your new set of pads, okay, with that cable that comes attached, and you're going to connect it up. Okay, so this connects up like so. It's a bit like a jigsaw, you can't go wrong. That will click nicely in place. Just click it in. Okay. Okay, so guys, if there is a problem, okay, with your machine and there's a red X, then this machine obviously can't be used. Have a look at the printout, have a look at the screen and see what the problem is. So if it's due to pads not working, and they have expired or they've been open, then obviously you can rectify that at ward level. But then you need to initiate a manual test, and this is the only time you would do that. So if the defib pads are the issue, take your pads off, okay, they come here, they connect, disconnect that way, pull it apart, okay, get your new set of pads that have not expired or haven't been opened, you're going to attach up, and it's a bit like a jigsaw, you can't go wrong. If you pop that in, like so, and click it in, that's you good to go, okay. So you fix the problem, we've attached up, okay, and we're going to turn the machine on. Now it'll talk to you and tell you to attach pads, but just wait a few seconds. Here on the right hand side you can see it says manual test in the corner. Underneath that there's a range of soft keys, so hit the soft key directly underneath that. That will run a self-test. It will ask you to press the shock. That's quite safe to do because effectively your test block is now actually your pads. You're going to hit that.
Check pads, attach pads.
And then you should have a green tick on the screen. Okay, so just make sure you turn the machine off. Okay, and that's it, ready to go. So in terms of daily checks, guys, okay, whenever you're checking the machine in the morning, it's more a visual check as opposed to the manual test that you've been carrying out previously. So it's a visual check of all the cables at the back to make sure they're present. Your defib pads are attached and they're intact, not open. You've got 2 green lights and a green tick, and that's your defib check done. Okay. So now what I want to do is I want to chat to you about how we're going to use this machine, okay, in the event of an adult cardiac arrest, okay. So if my gentleman here, George has collapsed, okay, and CPR is ongoing, one of the first things you want to do is to get the defib pads on as quickly as possible. So as the trolley comes along, your defib pads are attached, pull that long cable out, bring it across over beside the patient's chest and get your defib pads. If you go to the lovely yellow triangle at the top and you pull that apart like so, and if you pull that and open that, okay, your defib pads are going to be on the inside, okay. So you want to get the pads onto the patient's chest, so these are where the pads are going to be placed. So pictures are on the pads to keep you right so you can't go wrong. One is going left hand side cardiac apex, just over there, and then the other pad is going to go here. Okay, so this pad now is a little bit different from what we're used to with the Philips machine. So with this pad, just to show you, slightly different. This pad actually has a puck attached, and this puck is a feedback device, and it's going to tell me how well I'm doing chest compressions, which we'll demonstrate on this machine in a few seconds. So this puck needs to be placed where you would put your hands, okay, to perform CPR. So to help you find the centre of the chest, you've got a lovely red cross to facilitate that. So if you draw an imaginary line, okay, down the centre of the sternum, it should be coming in line with that. And if you draw an imaginary line across from underneath the oxters, it should be coming across with that. So with this pad, guys, just make sure the puck is placed first, and then this pad then rolls out nicely, okay? One final thing just before you do, when you take those pads off the inside of the pack, always pull them off from the red tab at the top, so just to pull it down. Resist the urge to take that out from your pack from that, because that can rip, and we ideally would like that to be one full piece. So I've got my landmarks. I'm going to pop this onto the chest. The puck is placed first, and the other pad then rolls out as a result of that. So when it comes to doing chest compressions are performed on top of the puck, so you're going to be doing it here. Okay, so pads go on first, and the next thing that we need to do then is we need to turn the machine on. Okay, just give me 2 seconds to set up my sim. So turn the machine on. You can see that this machine, okay, will only go on one way, so you cannot go wrong. So you're going to turn it on. And this machine will default to AED mode, okay, so where it will talk to you and tell you what to do,
Stand clear.
So it'll tell you to stand back. Okay, it will analyse the rhythm. If a shock is required, it will charge up for you. The only thing it can't
Press
do
shock.
is safely deliver the shock. And I think it's pretty clear to see the button that you're going to press. So you'll perform your normal safety checks, everybody stand clear, oxygen away, and you're going to get a shock in.
Perform CPR.
And then it will ask you to do CPR. Okay. Couple of things just to point out in the front of the screen. Okay, so you have your rhythm here. Okay. Energy levels that we use with this machine is 200 joules. Okay, so that's slightly different from the Philips machine, which is previously 150. Okay. Down here, okay, in the left hand side there's a timer in the white numbers there, so that's actually from whenever I've turned the machine on initially. There's another timer which is a little bit smaller to see, which is the purple one there, and that starts at 2 minutes and it counts itself back, okay, because we know if we shock we always do CPR for 2 minutes afterwards, so that will keep me right in terms of time. This purple bit up here at the top, this purple dashboard, that relates to the puck. Okay, so that's going to give me feedback on how well I'm performing my chest compressions. So when I do my chest compressions, you're going to see some information on that screen. So I'm going to try and simulate that for you now.
Push harder.
So if I'm not squeezing hard enough, I'm going to get you to keep on that. So if I'm not squeezing hard enough, okay, the machine will talk to me and tell me what to do. So the first thing that we're looking at there, okay, is my depth. So I should be in adult land squeezing 5 to 6 centimetres. At the minute that's only 2.4.
Push harder.
The machine's verbally telling me to squeeze harder and it's highlighted.
Good compression.
And when I fix it, it tells me well done. Second thing that we're looking at there, okay, is my rate. So your rate should be 100 to 120, but can you hear the metronome in the background? So if you squeeze to that, you'll keep it right.
Push harder.
Third thing that we're looking at there, okay, is your release or your recoil. So if I don't release my hand off that chest, then that rectangle doesn't fill up properly. Okay, so when I have good recoil, that fills up properly. And last thing there is overall perfusion pressures. So when your 2 minutes is up, the machine will reanalyze, talk to you, okay, tell you exactly what to do. If another shock is required, it will ask you to press the shock button.
Perform CPR.
So quite self-explanatory. Okay. One other button just to make sure that you're aware of, this machine defaults to AED. Okay, if you have staff who are competent in their life support and want to use it in manual mode, there is one further button just to be aware of. So underneath our timer here initially, on the left hand side, it says manual mode. Hit that soft key and that opens up my functions from manual.